are at the rise and fall at York Hall. We got Will Coveney and Lee Hallett. Again, we are looking at something of a similar dynamic to the first fight. And I was just talking to Melissa about what we heard in the post-fight from Munin, which is you see these journeymen, they're very difficult to knock out, and so you might as well just box around and not look for the knockout. I don't think that is the mentality that you need to be going into these early fights with. And set up, again, something of the same kind of dynamic with Coveney and Hallett. This is where you make your statement. This is where you want to be the guy who knocks out the guy that's hard to knock out. Yeah, that's the mentality you want to have. So for me, while you never know in boxing, any one of these journeymen can have a great night. They do have some wins on their record, so you also don't want to be in that column as one of the few guys that they beat. I think you have to be careful and cautious and responsible, but you also want to have the killer mentality at the beginning of your career and all the way through. So we'll see how Will Coveney handles a situation where he's fighting a guy who's actually more accomplished than Navarez, and that he's got 87 losses and only 2 knockouts. That's even harder to do.
Yeah.
So we'll see. We got a big crowd support from Coveney. You heard them screaming. They came early to see him, so he ought to show him something.
Yeah, 100%, and you can see that he's already trying to push the pace. But Lee Hallett is a very tricky customer. I mean, you know, I think one of the only wins in his record was against Harley Denton. Meaning that he obviously didn't respect his power or anything he had and wanted to step to him. Or maybe he just wanted that name on his record, who knows, but he's capable of causing an upset, basically, is what I'm trying to say. So you can see Coveney trying to push the pace and land some good shots, but yeah, it's very tricky. I mean, southpaw, you know, nice guard, good movement, he moves around the ring, he's very experienced, so you want to be careful with guys like this. Yeah, you also want to perform, shine.
And you're seeing a lot of head movement. He's keeping the pressure actually on Coveney a bit. It's not quite the kind of performance we saw from the last fighter in Navarez, in that he is not kind of just walking in with his head down. He's working his way in, and he's going to make Coveney earn it.
Yeah, 100%. And I think opponents like this are good for prospects. I mean, it makes you realise that, you know, this game's just not a given. You're not just going to get in there with someone that's just going to try and survive all the time. People will try and fight back, and it will put him in good stead for when he fights 50-50 opponents, because, you know, he's had similar experience, even if it's not to that level.
And in boxing, anybody can win. Anybody can have that night. 100%. So don't fall asleep just because you see these records and they seem really one-sided. At any time, it can be that guy's night with the 87 losses. And, you know, if you're in there and you're switched off, or you think that the fighter in front of you isn't coming to win and you're wrong, it can be maybe one of the most embarrassing nights of your life.
100%, most definitely. That was a good round though for Coveney. I think he threw some nice good shots. He threw a little combination and finished with that lead uppercut. I like that shot. You know, landed a few clean right hands. There was nothing in the shots, but they're landing for now. As the rounds go on, now that he's finding his target, he might, you know, push a bit more power through shots and see how it affects.
He's going to need to earn the respect of Hallett. I think right now Hallett's testing him, seeing where his reflexes are, if his chin is good, and if Coveney doesn't do something in this round to really set the tone, it might be a long 4 rounds for him.
Yeah, we'll see what Coveney comes with this round. You know, Brad Spears in his corner.
Yeah, I like what I'm seeing.
He'll be telling him to stay switched on and, you know, just keep boxing and putting his hands together.
Hallett, no rush to get off the stool. He is a seasoned veteran. He knows what he's doing in there, and you see him, again, right in the chest of Coveney, making him mount an offense. However, you're not seeing much coming from Hallett right now, which is a gift to Coveney, because I think he's wide open right up the middle. Like, if Hallett wanted to throw some body shots and throw those uppercuts while he's inside, he could land some clean punches.
Yeah, I mean, where Hallett is a southpaw, Coveney is orthodox. That gap through the middle is open for that backhand to go for both fighters, really. But when Hallett's in close, you know, he can just shoot it up, and Coveney probably won't see it coming. Right. Hallett's right under him.
And you see Hallett in there being a little bit of a bully. You saw him push Coveney around. When you're early in your career like this, you don't want to let a guy do that. You want to make sure that he knows, you can't push me around in here and make him pay for something like that.
Yeah, 100%.
There we go. That's the kind of punches we want to see. Combination punches. A nice slip, and then he comes back and makes him pay.
Yeah. That's what you want to see. He's holding his feet a lot more. He is moving, but he is holding his feet at times. But Hallett is a seasoned pro. He's a man. He's got, you know, he probably feels he's more physical. He's showing he's more physical.
That's right.
I'm saying Coveney, you know, he's a young lad. He's got to make it work. He's going to probably have to beat him with his movement.
I think Coveney in this point should be first. Hallett's a little resistant to start the action, so Coveney could take advantage of that and be first and start dictating instead of reacting.
He is, but what Lee Hallett's doing, he's testing Coveney's gas tank. He's trying to see, you know, if he can go the round. It's only 4 rounds, but he's going to make him work for these 4 rounds.
That's right.
He's pushing him forward. He's coming in and holding his hands up, which is forcing Coveney to throw when he doesn't want to. So it's like he's throwing out a panic.
Now, why doesn't he want to? Maybe this is what I'm missing. Why doesn't Coveney want to throw? You think he's reserving energy, or he doesn't see the opening?
No, you could just tell he's a cleaner boxer. He wants to pick his shots and, you know, not want to waste shots. Good combination there from Hallett. And Coveney comes back with a good combination too. But, you know, Coveney, you can see he's a cleaner boxer. He wants to be accurate. He doesn't want to waste punches and miss punches. That's the style. That's the vibe he's giving me. You know, the kind of style he has. Whereas Lee Hallett is going to pressure him. He knows this guy's accurate. He knows he wants to fancy his shots. He's going to make it messy. Get in close. You don't want to punch up close because, you know, you're probably better at range than you are close with the short shots.
I gotta tell you, he's lucky that Hallett isn't in there throwing short shots, because Hallett's got an easy route inside. It's not peppered. That jab is not keeping him out. That was a lazy jab from Coveney. And so, to your point, not only is he testing his engine, he's about to start testing his chin.
He is. You can already see Coveney breathing from the mouth. You know, he had a good first round, but this round he's had to work a little bit harder. And he keeps pulling back. That's a big mistake.
With his chin up.
With his chin up. He needs to roll the shots because Hallett is coming over the top of his left hand. And it's landing that time. It's skimming it, but it's landing.
And you say Coveney wants to pick his shots and be accurate. Well, I'll tell you, if Hallett was picking a couple of more shots, he might be able to pick Coveney off. Like, leaning back with your head up, trying to get out of range while you're still in range without defense can really get your butt on the canvas.
Definitely, but with Coveney, you can see where Lee Hallett's pushing that gas tank. He's starting to make mistakes. He's falling apart. He's realizing this is harder than he expected, than he believed. So now he's got to work a little harder. He's got to dig in and, you know, just be mentally tough and say, you know what, I'm taking this tonight.
Yeah, I'm not quite sure what the scorecards are at this point in the fight.
Could be one apiece. I wouldn't be surprised if it was one apiece. Coveney's tired. He spat out the gunshoot twice.
Now, this is another crafty move. You saw after the first round, Hallett sit on the stool until the very last second and then get up. Now, in the second round, he gets up and runs right over to Coveney's corner while Coveney's gasping for air trying to get ready for the next round. These are some crafty mental games that are being played here.
That's a veteran's move.
That's right. This is a good night for Coveney to learn, but he better make sure that it's also a W. This is the round where he needs to start establishing that he's the boss.
Yep, he's got to pick up this round. He started off with a lazy jab, but, you know, it's getting there, he's flicking it. This is the range that Coveney wants to be at. This is where he's comfortable. This is where he shows his talent. When it's in close, he can't manage that.
Right,
So
don't
he
let,
struggles a little bit, yeah.
You're right, and don't let Hallett just walk in it. Every time he ducks his head in, make him pay with a nice little pop to the nose with that jab.
That's it. Just keep popping the jab and keeping that distance. That distance there is lovely for Coveney. It's exactly where he wants to be. This is where he's comfortable. Anything outside of this range, he's uncomfortable.
That's right, that's right. You know, I'm an offensive-minded broadcaster. I want to see a little bit more from Coveney when Hallett is in range. As he seems now to have slowed down on the head movement. Hallett should be a little bit easier to touch with that jab. That's what he's doing. None of that landed, but I like the effort.
Yeah, that's definitely.
This three-punch combination, a jab followed up by a right, followed up by another right, these are the kind of punch combinations that will land if you keep setting them up and working towards it.
But he's got to be ready for Hallett to just step up the pace, just like he tried to throw a hook right there. He's got to be ready for that. Shouldn't get too comfortable and think, you know what, the jabs, I'm popping him with a jab now, he's here. Hallett's going to switch the pace and just start pushing him back again at some point.
Right.
He's got to be ready for that.
To your point of Hallett being a veteran, that could also be a crafty move. Kind of set back, don't put any punches out, let the guy get comfortable, let Coveney think that, you know, maybe you're getting winded, and then catch him with something quick and hard. You know, I gotta tell you, I love these fights at the bottom of the card as much as the guys at the top of the card, because you can see a fighter learning, you can see a fighter developing, figuring things out. Matchups like this are interesting. They call it sweet science for a reason, because this is an experiment right now, and both fighters, even the veteran, are using everything that they've learned up until this point to make mathematical calculations and to counter what they're seeing in front of them. And in a fight like this, it really is close for me. Like, the edge, the margin can be very narrow.
Yeah, I think Coveney's, you know, just winning this round. I mean, his movement's been lovely, been pop-shotting nicely. Hallett's just, you know, seemed to have taken a round off and just, you know, just a little bit more showboating in action.
Right, now, the question is that to lull Coveney to sleep? Right there, two hard shots, and I tell you, that left is even harder than the right.
Oh, good body shot there as well to end the round by Hallett.
Now, I don't know if that flurry at the end was enough to steal the round, but it is enough to give Coveney something to think about in the fourth. And I suspect that if Hallett is here to win, if he really does want to win this fight, he's going to run out of that corner and put the pressure on at the start of this round and make Coveney really fight back. Because if he does that right now, it could be a problem if Coveney's not ready.
It could be a problem. But I also think if he does do that, it's more of a lesson for Coveney. I think it'll do him more good than harm. Even if he doesn't get the result he wants from his fight, he's going to go back with something to soak up and understand that, okay, this is the game. You're fighting men now. You're no more the amateurs when you're fighting someone your age. You're fighting kids where you've got the juniors and the youths and the seniors and the... You're fighting straight men, and this is what men have to bring. If you want to step up the rankings and win titles, you're going to fight men a lot stronger, a lot harder, a lot more skilled than this. So it will give him something to think about as he goes back.
And a lot craftier.
Yeah, and a lot craftier.
I don't know what the hell that was. It looked like a little WWF rope run, but yeah, again, I would have expected Hallett to come out throwing punches. He's kind of letting Coveney off the hook. Letting Coveney settle into the round. And if this is how this round is going to progress, I think Coveney will win it, find his range, and land enough punches to take the fourth round. Also, it's very dangerous for Coveney to be fighting with his mouth open like that. That hook that's landed from Hallett earlier in the rounds, if you catch anybody with their mouth open with a nice short hook shot, you can break that jaw. Should be biting down on his gumshoe right now.
That's fatigue. He's gasping for air from the mouth. I think Hallett's made him work a lot. So, you know, he's just breathing from the mouth. Probably doesn't even realise. There's a good body shot there from Coveney.
Coveney not really.
He's still landing some good shots, but you can see there's not a lot more. There's not a lot of sting in the shots anymore. A lot of sting has come out of the shots.
Yeah, and I don't see Coveney in any danger right now losing this fight as long as he stays switched on, doesn't get called anything silly. Hallett's really not looking for his own offense. So the next, 2.5 minutes, Coveney really should be just peppering the jab and looking for a good body shot or a clean overhand or right.
Doesn't need to do too much there. Good shots there from Hallett.
Just stay switched on and keep that jab out front. Like he doesn't seem to have the kind of confidence in his jab that would keep his opponent on the outside.
It's just fatigue. I mean, the jabs are lazy right now. He knows that if he throws a lazy jab, he can get counted. He's probably safer just moving as he is. I'll be honest, this is perfect for Coveney. I mean, he's only going to learn from this. I mean, anything other than this, it's just an easy ride and a false sense of confidence.
Right.
He's going to go to the gym and realize what he needs to work on. If he needs to get more physical, he'll do that. If he needs to, work in the condition and being able to pop a jab out for longer, he'll go back and learn that. Yeah. I expect to see a better performance next time out.
Yeah. And to be fair, a little bit more than this from Hallett might be a very difficult night for Coveney. Come on, so there's a lot of people out here who came to see it. We heard the roar from the crowd. Give them something to close the show. 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3 move. You know what I mean? I think at this point, unless Hallett all of a sudden decides to become an offensive fighter, there should be some opportunities even late here in this round.
I mean,
for Coveney.
Hallett looks fresher. If he does want to step it up in the last 30 seconds or 10 seconds now, so it's over, I believe he can do that.
Yeah, he certainly could. He's barely thrown any punches for the whole round, so he should be fresher. There you have it, 4 rounds in the record books.
Ladies and gentlemen, after 4 rounds of boxing, we go to the referee scorecard. Ringside, the referee scores at about 39 to 37. And your winner, still undefeated,
Well, you've gone 2-0 tonight, your second professional bout. How are you feeling after those rounds?
Very good, but tired.
Tired? Well, I would be too if I did those 4 rounds. But, you know, you're in there with Lee Hallett. He's very experienced. He's a veteran of the game. How important are those learning fights for you?
Yeah, very important. He's got Hallett.
Yeah, absolutely. A little word from coach in the corner. What were you saying to Will in between those rounds? Obviously, Lee was coming forward. He was trying to push that pace. What was some of the strategy that you were giving?
Just to stay switched on. He's like I said, he's been around, he's had nothing to fight, so real sharp. He's learning, and you can't beat him out to this. So I want him to switch on and use his speed and get him find rounds.
Yeah, as you say, he's super young. He's 19 years old. You know, what's the trajectory for someone of that age?
Just get learning fights out of that. Fight experience, join get good 3, 4, 5, 6, 10. As he progresses, got rounds, moving on to 6 rounds, and let's see how it goes.
Well, it sounds like you have so much support in the building tonight. What does it mean to you to have these people come and support you?
Yeah, it means a lot. Thanks so much.
Well, listen, we look forward to seeing you back in action for your third professional bout. Congratulations.